Good day, Coach Jude and everyone. I am Queenie Ann Rivero from Bitiled IA, Section 1B. So today I am going to discuss the learner-centered teaching foundations and characteristics. Learner-centered teaching is an educational approach that prioritizes the needs, interests, and learning styles of individual students. It emphasizes active participation, independent inquiry, and student-driven learning, empowering students to take ownership of their educational journey. Prioritizes the needs, interests, and learning styles, recognizes that each student is unique with different strengths, interests, and ways of learning. Active participation encourages students to actively engage in their learning rather than passively receiving information. This might involve discussions, hands-on activities, or collaborative projects. Independent inquiry promotes curiosity and encourages students to ask questions, explore topics in depth, and conduct their research, fostering a sense of self-directed learning. Student-driven learning gives students a voice in their learning journey. They can make choices about what they want to learn, how they learn it, and what goals they set for themselves. This approach empowers them to take ownership of their education. Learner-centered teaching is designed to make learning more personalized, engaging, and effective, helping students to become active participants in their educational journey and develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Learner-centered teaching manifests in several key characteristics. The first is active participation. Students are actively engaged in learning process, going beyond passive learning to participate in discussions, problem solving, and project-based activities. Active participation students are not just passive recipients of information, they are actively involved in their learning. Examples are participating classroom discussions, engaging hands-on activities, conducting experiments, and working on projects. It enhances understanding, retention, and critical thinking skills. Independent inquiry. Students are encouraged to ask questions, explore topics in depth, and conduct independent research, fostering critical thinking and self-directed learning. Students are encouraged to ask questions, explore topics deeply, and conduct their own research. Examples are developing research projects, exploring topics of personal interests, and using critical thinking to solve problems. It fosters a sense of curiosity, self-motivation, and lifelong learning. Student-driven learning students have some control over their learning path, choosing topics, selecting learning activities, and setting goals, promoting personalized learning experiences. Student-driven learning have a say in their learning process, including what they learn and how they learn it. Examples are choosing research topics, selecting learning activities, setting personal goals, and creating individualized learning plans. It promotes engagement, ownership of learning, and personalized learning experiences. Students work together in groups, sharing ideas, supporting each other, and learning from diverse perspectives. Examples are group projects, peer reviews, collaborative problem solving, and discussions. It develops communication skills, teamwork, and understanding of diverse perspectives. Reflective practice. Students are encouraged to reflect on their learning process, identify strengths and weaknesses, and develop strategies for improvement. Reflective practice students regularly reflect on their learning experiences, assessing their strengths and weaknesses. Examples are journaling, self-assessment, peer feedback, and discussions about learning strategies. It encourages self-awareness, critical thinking, and continuous improvement. This approach transforms the traditional teacher-centered model by placing students at the heart of the learning process, fostering a more engaging and effective educational experience. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day to each and everyone. I'm Perhana Tandi, the Study Hub number 2. Today, I will discuss to you the paradigm shift from teacher-centered to learning teaching. Essentialism. This philosophy emphasizes the transmission of essential knowledge and skills deemed necessary for students to become productive member of society. Teachers Teachers act as sage on the stage, delivering information and expecting to absorb it. Example in essentialism. In school, an example of essentialism would be a curriculum that heavily focused on teaching core academic subjects like math, reading, writing, and science, prioritizing back to basic learning with a teach-centered approach, where the teacher actively deliver information to students, primarily absorb knowledge through lectures and textbook study, often with a strong emphasis and standards testing to assess mastery of essential skills. Perennialism. This philosophy focused on timeless ideas and enduring, aiming to cultivate student intellectual activities through the study of classic texts and traditional subjects. Teachers act guides leading students through established knowledge. Example of perennialism. Perennialists believe that some ideas and principles are timeless and should be taught to students across generations. They believe that this subject provides a foundation for intellectual growth and critical thinking. Progressivism. This philosophy emphasizes hands-on learning, problem-solving skill, and real-world applications. Teachers act as a facilitator, guiding students to discover knowledge through experience and inquiry. Example of progressivists believe that individually progress and change are fundamental to one's education, believing that people learn best from what they consider most relevant to their life. Progressivists center their curricula on the needs, experience, interests, and abilities of students. Progressivist teachers try making school interesting and useful by planning lessons that provoke curiosity. In a progressivist school, students are actively learning. The students interact with one another and develop social qualities such as cooperation and tolerance for different points of the view. In addition, students solve problems in the classroom, similar to those they will encounter on their everyday lives. Progressivists believe that education should be a process of ongoing growth, not just a preparation for becoming an adult. An obvious example of progressivism would be our class. We are in a group a lot and we are actively learning through discussion. We talk about what we read and we can incorporate it into our future teaching career. Dr. Theodore took into account the suggestion from the previous semester student and modify his class accordingly. After reading John Dewey's book and discussing his thoughts and ideas in class, one can see John Dewey's relationship to progressivism. He wanted students to learn through action and being involved in the progress that will get to the end product. He wanted the student to work on hands-on project so learning would take place rather than member organization in a regular classroom. Students just memorize what they need to know and it goes away after the test. In Dewey's mind, The student would have to exercise their brain by problem solving and thinking critically, resulting in learning even though the student may not even know it. This allows the individual's brain to develop so as the individual grows, learning become easier. After attending a school, they would have a set up a child would be ready to the real world and a lot of everyday setback that an individual would experience, such as losing a button, changing a tire, making lunch, or balancing a checkbook. School would be a lot of hands-on learning, and the progression of education would not end. Humanism. This philosophy focuses on the individual student recognizing their unique needs, interests, and values. Teachers act as monitors, supporting student personal growth and development. Constructivism. This philosophy views learning as an active process of constructing knowledge based on prior experience and interaction with the environment. Teachers act as co-learners, guiding students to build their understanding through exploration, reflection. Example of constructivism. Allow pair of students to teach each other. Learners pose their own question and seek answer to their questions via research and direct observation. They present their supporting evidence to answer the question. Thanks.
Good day, everyone. Good day, Coach. I'm Reynalyn Cubano, the Study Hub number 3. My assigned topic was all about supporting research, managing the shift, and dimensions of learner-centered teaching. I will give a short recap from the previous presenter, the Study Hub number 2, which is Ms. Perhana Tandi. Her assigned topic is all about from teacher-centered to learner-centered teaching. Example of teacher-centered is the teacher lectures and students listen and watch. Example of learner-centered is students are encouraged to ask questions and share their ideas. So now, let's proceed to my assigned topic about supporting research. Supporting research is the act of agreeing with, helping, or providing resources to researchers. Example, the ZPPSU library might provide services to help researchers focus and write. And for managing the shift, it involves organizing work, schedules to ensure that shifts are covered and employees are productive. Example, in restaurant, the manager actively monitoring staff performance during a busy lunch rush, ensuring all stations are adequately staffed, addressing customer complaints promptly, and making adjustments to the schedule as needed to accommodate sudden changes in customer volume, all the while maintaining clear communication with the team throughout the shift. And for dimension of learner-centered teaching, there are 5 key dimensions, which are the role of the instructor, the responsibility of learning, the purposes and processes of assessment, the balance of power, and the function of content. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, good day. I'm Sharna Asi from Group 1 Study Hub number 4. So today I will discuss about the responsibility of learning. The responsibility of learning is a multifaceted concept that encompasses various aspects including personal growth, societal progress, and ethical consideration. In responsibility of learning have 3 aspects, which is personal growth, societal progress, and ethical consideration. In personal responsibility have self-directed learning, lifelong learning, and critical thinking and evaluation. Individuals are responsible for taking initiative in their own learning journey. This involves setting goals, identifying learning resources, and actively engaging in the learning process. Lifelong learning in today's rapidly changing world. Continuous learning is crucial for personal and professional development. Individuals have a responsibility to stay updated with new knowledge, skills, and technologies. Critical thinking and evaluation. It's essential to develop critical thinking skills to evaluate information, question assumptions, and form informed opinions. This responsibility extends to discerning reliable resources and avoiding misinformation. In societal responsibility, have education for all, promoting knowledge sharing and addressing societal changes. Education for all, societies have a responsibility to provide accessible and equitable education for all citizens, regardless of background or circumstances. These include addressing disparities and in access to quality education and promoting inclusive learning environments. Promoting knowledge sharings, individuals and instructions plays a role in sharing knowledge and fostering a culture of learning. This can involve contributing to open educational resources, participating in knowledge communities, and mentoring others. Addressing societal changes, education is a powerful tools for addressing pressing societal issues such as poverty, inequality, and environmental changes. Individuals have a responsibility to use their knowledge and skills to contribute to positive change. And ethical considerations also have responsible use of knowledge, respect for intellectual property, and avoiding plagiarism. Responsible of use of knowledge. Knowledge can be used for both good and bad purposes. It's important to be mindful of the potential consequences of our actions and to use our learning for ethical and responsible outcomes. Respect for intellectual property. Respecting copyright laws and intellectual property rights is essential for maintaining a fair and balanced learning environment. Avoiding plagiarism. Plagiarism is a serious academic offense. It's crucial to acknowledge sources, property, and to ensure that all works is original. Um, Ultimately, the responsibility of learning is a shared one. Individuals, institutions, and societies all have a role to play in creating a culture of learning that foster personal growth, societal progress, and a more just equitable world.
Good afternoon, everyone. Especially to you, Coach Jude. I am Ruaina H. Isnalon from BTLED IA1B. So now we are going to tackle about the purposes and the processes of assessment. So assessment in learning-centered classroom is formative. Formative assessment is used to monitor students' progress and provide feedback for improvement. So in a learner-centered classroom, assessment primarily serves formative purposes, meaning it is used to continuously monitor student progress throughout the learning process. providing ongoing feedback to guide instruction and support individual needs students. Rather than simply assigning a final grade at the end of the unit or course, the main goal of assessment is to identify areas where students need additional support and provide targeted feedback to help them improve their understanding and skills. So, diagnostic assessment. Diagnostic assessment helps identify students' strengths and weaknesses and inform instructional decisions. Diagnostic element assessments are often used diagnostically at the beginning of a unit to gauge students' prior knowledge and identify potential learning gaps, allowing teachers to tailor instruction accordingly. Authentic assessment tasks are relevant to a real-world applications and reflect the skills and knowledge students are expected to develop. Authentic tasks, learner-centered assessments tend to use authentic tasks that closely resemble real-world applications, encouraging students to demonstrate their abilities in relevant contexts. Student self-assessment. Encouraging students to self-assess their progress and understanding is a key component of learner-centered assessment, promoting ownership of their learning. Learner-centered classroom utilize a diverse range of assessment strategies like portfolios, presentation, observations, collaborative projects, and self-reflections, not solely relying on a traditional test. So the balance of power. So learner-centered teaching involves a shift in the balance of power between the teacher and the student teachers. Share power. They empower students to make decisions about their learning. Collaborate with students. They work with students to create a shared learning environment. Respect student voices. They value student perspectives and create opportunities for student leadership. So now let's proceed to the conclusion. Learner-centered teaching represents a fundamental shift in educational philosophy and practice. By prioritizing student needs, fostering active participation, and empowering students to make ownership of their learning-centered classroom create a more engaging, relevant, and effective learning environment. This shift requires a commitment to professional development, collaboration, and willingness to embrace change. The rewards, however, are significant: a more engaged and empowered student body, a more fulfilling teaching experience, and a more effective educational system.